She looked me dead in the eye and said, "You're not a good person. A good person would be happy I found my soulmate." I didn't argue. I didn't even flinch. I just walked away. Now, that so-called soulmate of hers is long gone, and she's standing there in front of the life I built without her, crying about what she lost. Hey folks, before I keep going, don't forget to hit that subscribe button and drop a like if you want to hear more stories like this. Really helps me out, and I appreciate it. It's strange, the little things your mind decides to hold on to. I can still picture that dent by the front door, the one I made when I was wrestling a new bookshelf into the apartment. Vanessa complained about it for a week straight, then never mentioned it again. But I didn't forget. I planned to fix it up right before we moved into a house. A house. Back then, we talked about getting one like it was guaranteed, just part of the plan. Something permanent. I was the permanent one. I had the steady job in software development. I cooked dinner. I remembered her sister's birthday and her dog's allergy meds. I was the rock. And Vanessa? She liked to call herself the ocean. That was her thing, the wild, creative soul that couldn't be tied down. First, it was part of what I loved about her. She'd buy a plane ticket on a whim, stay up till sunrise painting, or text me out of nowhere convincing me to go to some music festival. I steadied her, and she shook up my life just enough to keep it exciting. For a while, it really worked. But slowly, that balance tipped. Her free spirit turned into flat-out irresponsibility. My reliability became boring. She stayed out late, dodged my calls, and her texts got shorter until they felt like afterthoughts. When I asked if something was wrong, she'd snap back. "Nothing's wrong, Ryan. You're just overthinking. Why do you have to pick everything apart?" She'd say, brushing me off with a wave of her hand, like my worry was a nuisance instead of love. That was the first crack in the dam, and once it broke, I could feel her slipping away. She was already half a ghost in her own life, and I was the only one still reaching out. Then came the physical betrayal. And man, it wasn't subtle. One of my coworkers, Jason, quiet guy, doesn't talk much, sent me a screenshot of an Instagram story. There was Vanessa, head on another guy's shoulder at a bar, laughing like she didn't have a care in the world. The caption was some artsy nonsense about finding your muse. And the muse? Tyler. Someone I thought was a friend. A local poet type, all skinny jeans and recycled quotes. Vanessa had been hyping up his deep thoughts for weeks, and I'd brushed it off. Then came another picture. This one stung more. Their fingers intertwined, and on her wrist, the bracelet I'd given her. The caption. Finally found a soul that speaks my language. I didn't blow up. I didn't even yell. I just sat there feeling hollow, realizing the late nights and short texts weren't signs of her being some wild free spirit. They were signs she'd already checked out, already shopping for a replacement. I never confronted her about it. Didn't have to. I already knew. I just waited for her to come home, to see if she'd have the guts to say it out loud. She walked in around 11, humming to herself, smelling like cheap beer and some cologne that wasn't mine. She tossed her keys on the little table by the door, the sound echoing in the silence. I was sitting in the dark, lit only by the street lamp through the blinds. When she finally noticed me, the humming stopped. "Oh," she said, her voice tight. "You're still up?" "Yeah," I answered flatly. Couldn't sleep. She perched on the far end of the couch, keeping as much space between us as possible, her eyes glued to the blank TV. The silence dragged on until I broke it. "Everything okay, Vanessa?" She sighed, one of those exaggerated sighs I'd grown to despise. "Ryan, what is wrong with you lately? You're so heavy." "Am I?" I said evenly. "Or am I just asking you a question?" That's when she finally looked at me, and I could see it. Her mind was already made up. Nothing I said was going to change it. "I can't do this anymore," she snapped. "You're predictable. Safe. I told you I need to live. I need passion and fire, and you just don't have it." I looked at her, and for the first time I saw her clearly. Not as a free spirit, but as someone selfish, someone who used me as a stepping stone. "I've found someone who gets me," she went on, her voice picking up like she was proud of herself. "He's an artist. He's wild. He's everything you're not." The sting I'd expected wasn't there. Her coldness over the past weeks had numbed me to this moment. "And is he your muse?" I asked quietly. For a split second, panic flickered in her eyes. She hadn't expected me to know. But then the smug smile came back stronger than before. She leaned closer, her voice dripping with cruelty. You're not a good person. A good person would be happy for me, happy I found my soulmate. I didn't beg. I didn't shout. I didn't even ask her to rethink it. I just sat there, letting the words hang in the air, realizing how twisted it was. She'd betrayed me, humiliated me, and now she wanted me to feel guilty for not cheering her on. So I stood up, walked to the bedroom, and grabbed a bag. I packed the essentials: laptop, passport, wallet, a few changes of clothes. She watched me, her smirk slowly fading as she realized I wasn't going to play her game. There wasn't going to be some big dramatic fight. I was done. What are you doing? She asked, panic creeping into her voice. Going to stay with a friend, I said, zipping the bag shut. Ryan, don't be ridiculous. I just told you what's happening. We can talk about it later. I slung the bag over my shoulder, looked at her one last time and said, there's nothing left to talk about. As I headed for the door, I told her, you made your choice. You're happy. Then I added, I'm happy for you. I hope you and your soulmate have the life you deserve. And with that, I stepped out, leaving behind the silence, that dent in the wall, and all of her gaslighting. I didn't look back. The months that followed felt like some kind of limbo. Those first weeks were brutal. I'd walked out with nothing but my laptop bag, so I ended up crashing on a buddy's couch, well, the pullout in his spare room. The quiet I wrapped myself in wasn't loneliness. It was protection. My own little fortress against the mess she left behind. I threw myself headfirst into work. My boss, Grant, a sharp, no-nonsense type, picked up on it right away. I was clocking in before anyone else and shutting down long after the office lights dimmed. I buried myself in projects, cranking out new frameworks, fixing old code, making myself too useful to ignore. Work became my outlet, a way to burn up all the energy I could have wasted grieving a relationship built on lies. My days settled into a simple routine. Work, the gym, quiet evenings reading or watching a movie with my friend. Slowly, I learned how to enjoy my own company again. When I found a small apartment, just mine, I decorated it the way I wanted, calm, peaceful, intentional. That dent in the old wall? It was nothing but a faint memory by then. Meanwhile, Vanessa's new world was built on sand. Word trickled back through an old college buddy, someone outside our usual circle. At first, the updates were all about their so-called honeymoon phase. Vanessa and Tyler were everywhere. Art galleries, pretentious little coffee shops, late-night parties. They'd become the it couple, those free spirits who claimed they'd broken free from ordinary life. And honestly, I'd be lying if I said I didn't feel a little pity. I knew Tyler wasn't some great visionary. He was a con, the kind of guy who thrived by feeding on people like Vanessa. And then, like I knew it would, the whole thing started to crack. The first sign, Tyler's ex posted something on Instagram. She didn't mention Vanessa by name, but it was obvious who she was talking about. A cryptic line about being someone's muse for a month and a cautionary tale forever. That one post sparked a flood. Other women chimed in, each with their own stories of being Tyler's muse, before he tossed them aside. The mysterious, tortured artist persona? Gone. What was left was a serial cheater who used women for connections, for attention, for money, until he bled them dry. Then came word that his art career wasn't the big success he bragged about. He was drowning in debt, gaining a reputation as a manipulative leech. Sure, he had charm, but beneath it all he was just another mooch living off anyone foolish enough to bankroll his lifestyle. And then came the final twist of irony. About a month later, Tyler left Vanessa for someone new, called her his light, his star. He dumped her in a public post, dressing it up as some noble sacrifice for the sake of his art. The words? Almost identical to the ones Vanessa had used to kick me to the curb. She'd left me for her soulmate, only to be thrown away by him in the exact same cruel fashion. My old college friend sent me a screenshot of one of her posts after the breakup. It was just some vague, gloomy quote about losing herself. No mention of Tyler. No mention of me. Just a sad little plea for sympathy from the online crowd she depended on for validation. The irony hit hard. She hadn't found her soulmate. She'd found her reflection. The first messages came soon after her public crash. My phone, which I'd kept silenced for her number, lit up one night. The text was harmless enough. Hey, just saw a pic of our old coffee shop. Hope you're doing well. I didn't answer. Didn't even feel a twinge. It was like getting a spam text. 2 days later, another ping. I'm sorry for how things ended. I was in a bad place. Still, no reply. Even her apology was self-serving. Like her betrayal had been more about her emotions than her choices. Then the tone shifted. Desperation crept in. I know I was wrong about a lot of things. I've been reflecting and I miss our friendship. That word, friendship. A safe, soft label she thought might pull me back in. But she'd torched any chance of that long ago. When texts didn't work, she tried the next tactic. Getting others involved. A couple of our mutual friends reached out, clearly carrying her version of the story. One afternoon, my phone lit up with a name I hadn't seen in ages. Nicole, one of Vanessa's closest friends. I picked up, my voice polite but cautious. Hey Ryan, it's been a while. I'm calling because I'm really worried about Vanessa. She misses you. She's having a hard time. I'm sorry to hear that, I said, keeping my tone flat, the words empty. She says she's changed, that she finally sees how much you gave up for her. She just needs someone to talk to. She's really sorry about everything with Tyler. And I'm not the person she should be talking to about that, I replied calmly. I've moved on. I wish her the best, but I'm not part of her life anymore. Nicole's voice pressed harder, echoing Vanessa's old manipulative edge. But she needs you. You were always her rock. Can't you just be a friend? No, I said, firmer this time. If you really care about her, tell her to get help on her own, not run back to the person she hurt. I hung up before she could push further, blocking her number 2. Then Vanessa tried a new angle. She even called my mom. One evening Mom rang me up, a little rattled. Honey, Vanessa called me. She sounded heartbroken. She said she made a huge mistake. Are you sure you can't just talk to her? Mom, I'm fine, I told her gently. I've moved on. Vanessa's an adult, and she's got to handle her own choices. Please don't call me about her again. The last attempt came a few days later. Unknown number. I answered without thinking, and it was her. Her voice was nothing like I remembered. Raw, broken, stripped of all that smugness. Ryan, please. I need to see you. I'm so sorry. He used me. Everything was a lie. I was stupid. Please just talk to me. No. I cut her off. I've got nothing left to say to you. I hung up. And that was it. That was the last time I heard her voice. Until tonight. Tonight was different. I was at a big work gala, dressed sharp in a brand new suit, celebrating being made partner at my firm. My team was around me, offering congratulations. And beside me was Jenna, the new woman in my life. She's sharp, funny, and grounded in a way that feels like home. We were joking around about a friend we both knew when my laugh suddenly froze in my throat. That's when I saw her, Vanessa. She was across the room, standing alone by the drink table, and for a second, the whole place seemed to fade out around her. She looked nothing like the woman I remembered. Her clothes were messy, her makeup smudged, and her eyes, they looked hollow, like something inside her had burned out. That spark she used to carry, the confidence that once lit up every room she walked into, it was gone. All that was left was this heavy sadness that clung to her. Her eyes found mine, and the second they did, she started moving toward me. Jenna noticed the change in my face and followed my gaze. She touched my arm gently. Everything okay? She asked softly. I met her eyes, steadied myself, and gave her a small smile. Yeah, I said. It is. By then, Vanessa was in front of me. Her face was twisted up with emotions she couldn't hide. She glanced at Jenna, and for just a flicker of a moment, raw jealousy flashed in her eyes before she turned back to me. Ryan, she whispered, her voice cracking. I need to talk to you alone. I kept calm and nodded toward Jenna. We're in the middle of a conversation, I told her. And honestly, there's nothing left for us to talk about. Her voice rose, shaky and desperate. Please, I was wrong. I was stupid. He wasn't who I thought he was. I just want to be your friend again, like before. She reached out like she wanted to touch my arm, but I stepped back. And in that step, I realized something. I wasn't angry. I wasn't even sad. I just felt nothing. It was like looking at a stranger. I took a slow breath, choosing my words carefully. Not because I wanted to hurt her, but because I wasn't willing to lie. Vanessa, I said quietly but firm. I don't even recognize who you are anymore. The man you left behind, the guy you hurt, that version of me doesn't exist now. That pain changed me. It forced me to see what I really deserved, what I needed to build for myself. It showed me what good actually looks like in a relationship. I built a new life. A better one. A peaceful one. And in that life, there's no room for you. You don't get to ruin it. Truth is, you never had that kind of power. Her mouth opened slightly as the weight of my words hit her. She finally understood. It wasn't just me she'd lost. She'd lost the man who once loved her. The man she betrayed. And standing there, I didn't hate her. I didn't pity her. I just felt nothing. She was already in the past, like a blurry shape in the rearview mirror. Please, she begged, tears spilling into her eyes. I'm begging you, just one more chance. We could start over. I turned to Jenna, who was watching with quiet understanding, then looked back at Vanessa. The man you wanted me to cheer for, the one you called your soulmate, you got him. You chose that life, that wild, artistic, unpredictable world. And now you see it for what it really is, selfish and lonely. My life, it's right here. My peace is right here. I don't need to start over. I'm already living the life I was meant to have, and you're not part of it. With that, I reached for Jenna's hand and walked away. The last image I have of Vanessa is her standing there alone, watching me leave, finally realizing what she had thrown away. The silence that followed wasn't heavy with sadness. It was filled with peace. Real, lasting peace. Thanks for listening. If you enjoyed the story, make sure to subscribe and hit that like button. And let me know in the comments, what would you have done in my place?